Tonight on CTV 11, election season is here. Find out what you need to know before the presidential primary.
Then find out what the administration is saying on the Race, Bias, and Equity Initiative.
And if the train around town has made you late, you're not alone. Find out what city officials had to say, all this and more on CTV News 11. A man who is suspected of killing a Windsor woman Monday night turned himself into Weld County authorities this morning. I'm Jake Oskverick.
That's right, Jake. I'm Janae Hancock. 35-year-old Canman Morgan turned himself into Weld County Jail around 1:45 in the morning and had his bond hearing this afternoon. A Larimer County Jail deputy was charged with assault after pushing an inmate at Larimer County Jail. Deputy Ricardo Garolo is being charged with first-degree misdemeanor. The female inmate sustained minor injuries, according to a spokesperson with the sheriff's office.
The Ethics Review Board that is in charge of looking at the complaint against Mayor Troxel, Stevens and Summers, are rescheduling their meeting to March 6th rather than yesterday as it was planned. The meeting is open to the public, but there is no public comment period. The ethics complaint was filed in relation to the Hughes rezoning. The final reading on whether to rezone the former Hughes site is set for March 17th.
More red light cameras could soon be at a Fort Collins intersection near you. Fort Collins police are looking at possibly installing red light cameras at the intersection of Shields and Mulberry and Shields and Prospect. These would become the third and fourth red light intersections in the city.
A Loveland man pleaded guilty to second-degree attempted murder after a connection to a drive-by shooting in Loveland back in December. 24-year-old Albert Mays. Mays is also charged with assault after assaulting a police officer. Mays is expected to be sentenced on April 24th.
Election season is around the corner with the presidential primaries coming up in 1 week. Alexandria Colon went to Larimer County officials to see what students should know. Alexandria?
Janae, the primary election is right around the corner. I spoke with Angela Myers, Larimer County's clerk and recorder, about what to know and expect.
As college students, we make up a large population of voters in the state of Colorado and the city of Fort Collins. So what all is involved in the process? If you are a student from out of state wondering where you should vote, well, you've got a few options.
If they've come here to go to college and this is where they're claiming their residency, then absolutely they should simply register and vote just like everyone else.
Don't panic. If you aren't registered as of now, you still have time.
Remember, in Colorado, we're a same-day registration state, so they can register up to including 7 p.m. on election night.
And as far as the new law regarding 17-year-olds and their ability to vote?
In Larimer County specifically, we've got about 1,300 people who fall into that 17 category who will be 18 by election day.
Coloradoans decided to allow voters free range in who they see best fit for their vote.
Colorado had put a question to the voters, and they decided that unaffiliated voters in our state would vote in all primary elections.
And if you're looking for a place to vote, look no further.
The instructions that are included with the mail ballot list all of our locations for voting sites across Larimer County. You got one right there at the college campus at CSU.
The voting process can be complicated, especially as this is a first-time thing for many voters. However, don't be worried. Ms. Myers has your best interest at heart.
For me as clerk, nothing more important than you as a voter having a very efficient, effective experience in voting.
And if you or anyone else you know has any other questions or concerns, make sure to visit the county's website.
Simply go to votelarimer.org. VOTE Larimer, LARIMER.org. You can get any information you need about the election process in Larimer County anytime.
So if you want your vote to be counted, make sure to drop it off at one of these drop box locations nearby.
And how many people are expected to vote this year?
Well, as Ms. Myers says, everyone is expected to come to the party, so make sure you come. And just know the locations, the larger crowds are expected due to Colorado's change in laws. For CTV Channel 11, I'm Alexandria Cullen.
Thanks, Alexandria. We can't wait to see what the turnout will be. Well, if you walked to class at all today, you may have noticed the brutal wind. It's been gusting around 40 miles in Fort Collins and even led to the closure of Highway 287 just north of Fort Collins to the Wyoming border, which was closed for several hours this morning. For more on this week's weather, let's head over to weather anchor Sophia Ridley.
Today wasn't the only day with wild weather, though. Yesterday, many Fort Collins residents woke up to a snow squall warning alert on their phone. A snow squall is essentially a short sunburst of snow with low visibility and high winds, just like a thunderstorm in the summer. The National Weather Service just started to issue these warnings in Colorado. This past year and yesterday's warnings make it the second to only ever be issued in Fort Collins since it was implemented.
Double trains have been coming through Fort Collins as of 2019, and they have had a detrimental effect on traffic operations ever since. The trains that run through Fort Collins are a constant source of frustration for the residents here. The fact that there are two tracks that run through town doesn't help the situation. And to make matters worse, double trains began running through town as of mid-2019, making traffic even worse.
You know, traditionally, the trains that they've been running through the city have been about a mile or a little bit over a mile long. And these new ones that they've been running through, the double trains, are running about 3 miles long. And so they're hugely impactful, because if you think about it, the mile grid in Fort Collins, if you think about Harmony to Horsetooth is a mile, Horsetooth to Drake is a mile, Drake to Prospect's a mile. So we're literally having Harmony, Horsetooth, Drake, and Prospect all blocked simultaneously, or 3 of the 4 blocked simultaneously as the train rolls through.
Regular trains do a good job of backing up traffic, and with the double trains, cars are backed up for blocks behind the tracks, which can lead to wait times of 30 to 45 minutes.
So the city of Fort Collins doesn't have any ability to regulate the railroad. This isn't something that's unique to Fort Collins. The railroad companies all over the country are trying these longer trains in a way to try to find efficiencies and basically make their operations make more money. It's been a big impact to our arterial street system anytime those go through, especially if they're coming through at rush hour, which it seems like they do enough to cause a lot of problems.
For more information regarding how to better plan your day around these trains, visit fcgov.com/traffic.
The Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Blanche Hughes, is making sure that CSU is safe and a welcoming environment with the Race, Bias, and Equity Initiative. With all of the reported incidents of bias on campus last semester, President Joyce McConnell launched the Race, Bias, and Equity Initiative.
We, on our campus, that's not acceptable, right? And with President McConnell being new as the president, to come in and hearing what students were saying, hearing what faculty and staff were saying, I think she was really moved and inspired to say, all right, what can we do?
The initiative was implemented as an actionable plan to address issues of race, bias, and equity, while empowering all members on CSU's campus.
Say, hey, here's some programs that are really making a difference on our campus. And so here's what we want to do, and now can we enhance those programs? So what are we doing? What can we do more of? What can we enhance? And then what can we do new?
CSU President Joyce McConnell declared Dr. Blanche Hughes as the leader of the initiative because of her deep wisdom and experience.
If I have an opportunity to do more, to try to combat racism and bias, and I mean, I've tried to do that my whole life. And it really saddens me that at 64 years of age, some of the issues that you all are still dealing with as students on this campus were issues I dealt with when I was a college student. And that's just not okay.
Blanche believes it is a part of her life's work to make sure CSU can and will do better.
But we all need to be willing to say, but as an institutional value, this is what we need to be doing, and we're all going to work towards having a place that faculty, students, and staff, community people, whoever come to visit us, get at our campus and say, we know this is a place that values.
Dr. Blanche Hughes encourages students and faculty to give feedback regarding the initiative in order to keep CSU moving forward. You know, the administration acknowledges how important it is to be timely when communicating with students.
Absolutely, and it's very exciting. It's going to be really neat to see what this initiative is able to do in the coming months and years.
I'm excited. Very important.
Well, coming up after the break, Jeffrey Lindblom has another beer story that I'm looking forward to.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay, if they seem down.
It doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G?
You all right, girl? You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Seize the awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Hello, friends, acquaintances, allies, students, faculty, Fort Collins people, in fact, whoever tuned in, hello and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Lindblom. Thanks for being here. Let's get right into it. The Armstrong Hotel has been accommodating guests for nearly 100 years, and it was a little over a decade ago that Oreo, a kitten, found her way into the hotel in 2004 and quickly became a tactical but chubby mouse-hunting gray cat. After soaking in guests' love and praise for roughly 16 years, Oreo died last Saturday. After 2004 renovation, the hotel faced a bothersome mouse problem. It was a good thing that Oreo was there to play cat and mouse with the issue, if you know what I mean. As she grew older, Oreo preferred to find quiet places to get a cat nap in, and even figured out how to use the hotel's elevator rather than taking the stairs. George Prine, the Armstrong Hotel's general manager, says that he and the staff knew that this day would eventually come and that they're all dearly missing the hotel's beloved cat. Fort Collins produces 70% of the beer that goes out of Colorado. It's known well as the brewing town, with a place to grab a beer at every corner. But I've come to find out that it wasn't always this way. Hey there, gang, and welcome alongside me here at Odell Brewing Co., a place that might not be standing here today without a few thirsty individuals that came through the Prohibition era. Now, there is a plethora of beer-loving, brewery-gunning individuals around Fort Collins. However, there did in fact exist a time that this town wasn't always so brewery-savvy.
Then we go into the section about history, the long Prohibition history in Fort Collins.
It was in the early 1800s that miners and German immigrants made way to the States in search of gold. A man named Adolf Kors was among this group, and we know him for his beer legacy that still lives on today. In a time so long ago, in pre-19th century Fort Collins, there were saloons all around town that provoked heightened criminality, eventually leading to Prohibition in 1896. And it wasn't too long after that locals were finding ways to work around the newfound laws.
We go through bootlegging, we go through the underground tunnels that were used in Fort Collins for bootlegging.
Fort Collins was rendered dry of alcohol in 1896, even before the Prohibition Amendment was officially placed in 1919. Until the late 1960s, the best anyone could buy was a 3-2 beer. And finally, in 1968, CSU students had had enough at last.
So some students decided to have a beer in, not like a sit-in, but a beer in when they drank beer. It was illegal to ask for more rights for students in 1968. And this kind of led to the end of Prohibition in 1969.
Personally, I couldn't imagine a Fort Collins without a hefty dose of beer. In truth, there's an element of pride in it. There's no doubt that we brew up some phenomenal things around these parts of Colorado. Calling all creatives, Colorado State University Art Department alumni Riley Firmanek and Kayla Moore are looking to expand the arts community by bringing a nightlife market called Nocturnus to Fort Collins. So if you're an aspiring artist, this will be the perfect place for you to collaborate with others. Moore and Firmanek are looking to create an experience for creative types all across the board. This leaves room for music, poetry, painting, and so much more. Unfortunately, more times than not, a place like this requires vendors to support financial necessities. However, as artists themselves, Firmanek and Moore are all too familiar with costly booth prices that rarely end up even breaking even. Instead, the pair are concentrating on affordability rather than profit. The market will provide local artists with a place to sell their works without burning a hole in their wallets. Unless setting your wallet to flames is in your take on art. Sounds like that could fly at a place like this, then bring it along. The first market will take place March 6th at Mugs Coffee Lounge. Before I make my leave, it's time to breathe my late-night YouTube adventures to life. I've bore witness to this week's content, and I think that I have found that what is at the pinnacle. Stay put, because here comes this week's viral video.
He's holding it with his hands. Hi, buddy. Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Hi, bud. Oh, no!
Dad. I don't know about you, but that leaves me in a state of pause. A loss for words, if you will. In a way that was equally as depressing as it was adorable. But that's all I've got for you this week. Thanks for sticking around. Don't go anywhere just yet. Sophia Ridley has your weekly weather report coming up here next.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry's dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Sophia with tonight's weather. Let's take a look at the current conditions. It's about 24 degrees with 11-mile-per-hour winds. It was super windy out today, so it is finally starting to come down a bit. The humidity is 46 degrees, so it is a little bit chillier than you would think, and the sun set right around 5:47. And if you take a look across campus today, people were pretty bundled up. The wind was extraordinarily quick, and it was terrifying, and it was so scary, and I did not enjoy it one bit. And then, as you can see, for the overnight lows down the I-25 corridor, it's 11 degrees up here in Fort Collins. Down, in Pueblo, it's 12. Look at Gunnison and Telluride and Craig, all in the negatives. It is absolutely freezing out there tonight, Rams. And then, if you look at tomorrow's forecast, it's 40 degrees and sunny with winds at 11, though I would still pack an extra jacket because it's going to be windy all week. And then if you look at tomorrow's highs, it's going to be in the 40s across the state pretty much. If you look at around Gunnison and Telluride, it's a little bit chillier. But like I said, guys, it's going to be really chilly all week with this wind. And then if you look at the 5-day forecast, it'll warm up towards Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But Sunday, it's going to start getting really, really cold again. And like I said, this wind is going to be brutal. So don't let the warm skies fool you. Have a wonderful night, Rams.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here.
Or maybe even here. But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
Doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G?
You all right, girl?
Oh,
You cool?
you bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Susie Awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, and to another week of Primetime Sports. I'm Brendan Fairbairn.
And I'm Erica Johnson.
Another week of tough decisions. CSU athletes are making it hard to choose a doing the most every week.
Very difficult. But this week, my doing the most goes to junior Skylar Williams on the swim and dive team. She beat her record 33 points this last time. She's beat it every single time, the last 4 times in a row. And she beat the CSU record 11 points by Ariana Milone in 2015. And CSU has never had a diver that has won a conference title in the program history. But she was also almost in first place until Nevada's Vasquez. Yeah, excuse me. Vasquez was the top person. She beat her, but she still came in second and finished strong for the Rams.
Yeah, that was very
impressive. It was
impressive.
a great one, but what was your doing the most, Brendan?
Erica, it was a hard choice this week. I had to choose between men's golf and freshman forward Deshaun Thomas for his breakout game against San Jose State. But this week, I have to go with the golf men's team. They took 4th at the Wyoming Desert Intercollegiate last Saturday, and they were anchored by junior Jake Ainscough. He had the best personal score for CSU with a 2 under 70. And coming into this tournament, they were ranked number 5 by GolfStat, which is well-deserved considering they are undefeated against all Mountain West and Pac-12 teams. Erica, I am predicting a Mountain West championship for this men's golf team in the near future.
Yeah, speaking of undefeated teams, the last undefeated team in the Division I for the nation just lost last Saturday to UNLV. San Diego State showed that they are mortal. Do you think that we had asked Rams, do you believe that the Rams can upset the Aztecs tomorrow night and give them their 2nd straight loss? I'm going to have to say that there's a chance. You know, and this was a 50-50 poll, as you can see. But I think that the Rams have a chance.
Erica, honestly, I have to go with San Diego State. It's a no-brainer for me. Number 1 reason, Malachi Flynn. 17 points per game. I mean, come on. He's first in the Mountain West in assists. And last time he played CSU, he dropped 35 points on them at Moby. I don't see why you can't do that at home. And the reason, and I know they lost to UNLV last Saturday. I know, despite their poor defense and sloppy offense, they still took a good UNLV team to the final shot, which shows what type of grit they have. That's why they're ranked number 5. I just don't see the Rams winning this. It's like a David versus Goliath story. I don't see the Rams pulling this one off.
Well, I really think that the Rams have a shot just because they beat UNLV, and UNLV just, I don't know. I think that San Diego State needs to have a losing streak. I think that there's room for a losing streak. I think that once it happens, it kind of just goes from there. And they're averaging about the same points as the Rams in scoring, 75%. And, you know, there's also players on the Rams team that if they can get a head start on this, they can really, really maybe come out with a win. And I just think they would have to have that early on. But Nico Carvacho is number 1 in the Mountain West.
He's a stud.
For the rebounder. Yeah, he's the number 1 rebounder. And CSU is undefeated when their team makes 9 or more of those 3-pointers. So it's just going to come down to the game. And I think this game is just as important for San Diego State. They will have to bring the madness the next 2 games for a good position in the March Madness tournament.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how far San Diego State makes it in the tournament. But that isn't the only madness going on in the sports world. The NFL is trying to change their playoff rules to 7 teams for each conference instead of 6, and also changing the regular season to 17 games to cut out 1 preseason game. We knew this was going to be a hot debate, so we had to ask our Rams for our second Ram Bus question what they thought about the possibility of the NFL changing their playoff rules. This is our first tie, 50-50. Down the slate, I'm going to have to go, Erica, change the playoff rules. I mean, let's go. Like, come on, more football. That's 2 extra playoff games, another regular season game. And I think this new playoff bracket will bring another element of competitiveness. The teams will be fighting for only the first seed, not the first and second, because only the first seed gets the bye. And this has already been passed by all 32 NFL teams. It's all up to the players to vote on it. This can go either way, but I hope it passes.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, I'm all about more football, but I think that keeping it consistent is something that the fans really want to see, and that's why it was a big split and a tough poll, because they want the consistency of it. And I just think that there's a 35%, there was 35 decrease in concussions from the playoff, from when they changed the kickoff from the 2017 to the 2018. And that is huge. And with, you know, players are kind of against it. There's one that specifically, J.J. Watt, he's totally against it. He said absolutely not. Like, he did not. So he's totally against it. And if we, you know, if they can just find something with health and safety about it, then I think it would be great.
Yeah, well, we know NFL players care about their health and safety, but this Tampa Bay Rays fan is a totally different story. For our first Can You Do That clip, a Rays fan does his best Odell Beckham impersonation to catch just a foul ball.
Yeah.
Here he has it, just dives it one-handed. Like, seriously, nothing. Here, look at it. He takes a bow. He already knows he's going to be on Sports Center. He already knows it. Yeah, and that just seriously reminds me of the Odell Beckham catch back in 2014.
The fans here, you know?
Yeah.
Jumps up like a dolphin. Oh, my gosh.
I have a feeling if he has social media, that will be on his social media.
I can't believe that. But we also have our second Can You Do That play, where we go to Grays Lake Central High School, where sophomore Corey Wallen flaunts his confidence. You see him here. He's going to be deep in the 3. Does a backflip. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness.
Before he even makes the shot.
Yeah, before it's even in there.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Imagine if he missed that.
Oh, my gosh. He would feel like an idiot.
I know, right? And for our last clip, we have some good old inspiration for everyone. Obed Mutana, a Paralympic athlete that does his impressive one-legged high jump. Just showing that literally nothing can stop you from your goals. Just one leg. I can't even do this with 2 legs.
Couldn't either.
Wow. So impressive. Props to him. He deserves it.
Yeah, that's so inspirational.
Yeah. But remember, if you're able to do any of these, make sure to show us on Twitter at sports_CTV. We'll make sure to include you on next week's show. I know Eric and I would love to see if anyone could do what we saw tonight.
Well, Rams, that's all we have for you tonight.
Tune in tomorrow for Humans of CSU. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.